Welcome to Getting to Know You. That is residents and staff, and today we are going to do exactly that. We have 2 residents to hear from and 1 staff member. And this is the program we're doing before Thanksgiving. It will be aired the weekend before Thanksgiving. And many people are giving thanks. We here at Stonebridge are thankful for the care and the community that we have. But we want to focus on the other part of Thanksgiving, and that is giving. And many people here at Stonebridge also give. So we have sort of 3 cameos of different people doing different things that are all giving. And it by no means includes everyone in the community. And we would like to hear from people about what you do to give. It can be your time, it can be your resources, it can be your advocacy. So if you want to write a little note to Robin, because everybody knows who Robin is and how to get to her, either by email or by a note, we would really like to know how you give. And it would be helpful for other people to know if it's okay with you, so they might know where they might join you, especially if it's giving of resources. So here we go, and our first interview about giving is David Drake. David, I'm going to turn to you, and before you tell us about your giving, everybody likes to know, like, where did you come from or something. So can you tell us what you did before you came to Stonebridge?
Sure. I lived right here on Bridgepoint Road.
Mm-hmm.
I could have actually walked to Stonebridge when I moved here. But I was fortunate in my work days to get a job with Western Electric Company, and it had a small research center in Hopewell Township where I wrote computer programs for 31 years. And when I retired from there, I took some computer courses. I then moved into a little more college courses and then seminary, and I became I worked as a chaplain in 2 nursing homes in Somerset County for 15 years. So that's what I did.
Yeah, and then you came here, and then this opportunity arose. So now tell us what you're doing in terms of your giving.
Okay, well, now I'm visiting my daughter Janice, who lives in Lambertville. She was telling me that she was serving as a mentor and wanted to know if I was interested. So what I'm doing now, I did join, and what I'm doing is serving as a mentor to folks who are incarcerated, who are taking Bible-centered courses. And they're offered free of charge from Crossroads Prison Ministries. It is a Christian organization. So probably we all have different ideas of what a mentor might be, but
Right.
Actually what I do is I receive a student's lesson after it's completed. And I read through the lesson, I read everything, and I correct any questions that might be incorrect. I can tell that they work really hard on their lessons.
Right.
So I make sure that I leave a comment on every page of their
Now,
lesson
is
book.
this on the computer?
It's a real lesson booklet that I receive in the mail.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
So it's their writing in handwriting,
Yes.
and then you do it back in
I
handwriting.
do. And they receive it back from me to see what I've done and how they've done. But so I do the corrections of their workbook, and then I write them maybe a 1-page letter. And it's to be a letter of encouragement to keep going in their studies and so on. If I've noticed anything in the workbook that they might be having some kind of concerns, I also write about that and encourage them at that point too. This is kind of short, but if you want to know more,
Right.
you can go to cpministries.org on the internet. they have a very good site there to get more information.
Do you exchange personal greetings in some way? Do they know who you are? Do you describe yourself?
I put my name on the letter and I sign it, and I say that I'm their mentor for this lesson.
Right.
And I will probably never get another lesson from them again.
I see, then you'll be somebody else.
Somebody else there, I think there are 5,000 mentors. So I'm a small cog in a big wheel.
Yeah, but it's great that you can do it right here.
It is. I don't have to go anywhere. I just need my computer and be able to receive and send regular mail. So
That must be nice, though, to have real mail.
it is.
And to be sort of surprised by what you will be getting.
Yeah.
And I bet they're surprised at the other end.
Yes. Actually, the third student whose paper I corrected really grabbed me.
Really?
Because he said he was taking the lessons, taking courses, so that he could become a better person. So I think it's worthwhile.
How touching, yeah. Well, thank you for giving in that way and also getting a lot out of it, I'm sure, David.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Welcome to Frank Riley. It's always nice to welcome somebody from a corridor where you're facing each other. It sort of seems like saying somebody from my neighborhood on the east side. Frank, it's interesting to talk to you because you came from far away sort of far away when you came to Stonebridge. Tell us where you were from and what you were doing.
Well, I spent a large part of my adult life before coming here in the state of Maryland, close to Davisonville, which is about 20 miles outside of the District of Columbia, and then down towards the eastern shore at Easton, Maryland. And it's there that I retired, my wife and I.
And you had been doing something in the federal government?
Yes, I was in the general management business with a focus in human resources. And I worked for 3 departments: Treasury, NASA, and agriculture. Seems like I couldn't keep a good job, but I had to move around.
Right. Well, that makes life interesting. You saw a lot of the ways the federal government does get involved, and I hope help us. So
Well, we hope so.
right. And so now we're talking to you because when you came to Stonebridge, you made a connection with the St. Vincent agency organization, which is worldwide and very active in this country, as I understand it. But you connected up with the one that is sort of in this central region in Trenton. Is that right?
Actually, it's right here in Princeton.
It is in Princeton.
Yes.
Okay.
It's one of the conferences, which is the lowest unit in the organization, and it's called a society.
Society.
It is worldwide. There's 800,000 people involved in our work. And our focus is to try to make the world a little fairer through relationships and serving those people that have been scourged by poverty. And that's what we're after to do. It's interesting that there are a lot of agencies here in town and elsewhere that are involved in this sort of a mission. But we take a different point of view in that we're the only agency that actually sends volunteers into the homes of those people that are having financial and other issues that are not enabling them to become a full partner in the economy. What we do is send in 2 people, always a team, into the apartments and dwellings of those people that call us on a hotline saying, I do need help, and please have somebody call us. So when we receive that call, we go out, and it's particularly good that we're able to go into their homes because you get a more granulated view of what's going on and what the issues are that these folks are facing. It's seldom just that they're not going to meet this month's rent, or the utilities may get turned off. It's much more complicated than that. By going in and spending a half hour, 45 minutes with the family, you get to meet some of the children, and this allows us to get an insight that I think has a better result than if we just did the business over the phone.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, with the pandemic,
I can imagine.
we are not letting our volunteers go into the homes under no condition.
Right.
But we try to do our best, even though that's been a block. I think the way to describe this work leads me to a story that it was one of the very first cases I had. It wasn't here in Princeton, it was in Easton, where we had a lady call us and said, I need a hospital bed for my son. He had contracted a terrible neurological problem and couldn't get out of bed. And so we visited with her, and this turned into almost a story of a female Job, 20th century. She had that issue. She had been divorced. Husband cut her off. The only thing he did right for her was to give her his health benefits, because she sure needed them. She herself was suffering from arthritis, and she was trying to learn to type, and it was not going well.
Yeah.
Well, shortly after we did that, her son was coming up, second son was coming up from North Carolina, and he was involved in a terrible accident, and it turned out ultimately he was a paraplegic as a result of it. So you can see she was in no state to carry on.
Right.
And over time, I think we helped her one other time, and I'll never forget one Christmas, we got a gift from her. It was 2 red and white Christmas mugs. And I was concerned that she even had the money to do that, really. So the idea of giving, it's an interesting point of view that our founder, St. Vincent de Paul, had. He said that we are not only interested in helping the poor, but we're trying to get to ourselves a sense of holiness, a sense of being like Christ.
Right.
And I think this has helped many of us to do this.
Well, you know, Frank, I just want to put some focus on what you were doing, because I knew you came here, got involved, and then you agreed to go on the board of the local, I don't know what you call it, and gave of your time to making sure that the organization was a good one to do the work that you do. And I think we have to count being on boards and providing governance and direction to an organization as a very big way of giving. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, glad to have done it. It's been an experience for myself as well.
And now, I think you told me that you were going off the board, but you were going to be staying on as something with the board.
Yes, actually, I was the president, and I got to be the president because they talked to 3 other people and they told them no. And I was
That's usually what happens.
Yeah. So, but no, I'm staying with the conference and in a role of trying to nurture this whole notion that we're not just here for the poor, but through the poor, we're here to develop our spiritual lives, and I'm going to work on that.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you so much for what you're doing and for letting us know a little bit more about an organization that is serving our region. So thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
Holly, it's really great to talk to you. I don't know how many people know you. Holly Tkacs.
Yes,
And you're part of the marketing team.
I am.
So before we get to what you care about and what you give to, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. My name is Holly Tkacs. I am from Mercer County. I was born in Trenton. I grew up in Lawrenceville. And the reason I got here to Stonebridge is because I was dealing with two parents who retired to North Carolina and both got ill at the same time. So my sister and I were on the phone with each other crying, and we finally got them settled. And through that, I learned a lot about senior living. So about 10 years ago, I made a career change from the sales that I was doing, which was industrial automation, to senior living, which is a big change, but that's what I wanted to do, and I love what I do. Yeah.
So how long have you been here with us at Stonebridge?
Well, it's only been a little over a year.
I knew you were new. So
Yes, I was newer, but
once you're over the year, you're not new.
no,
But-
exactly. I
but-
got over that hump.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But
Yeah.
we're glad you're here. And
Thank you.
I know a number of us have had a chance to see you in action, helping, doing all
Yes.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
But you are sort of have found your passion in Lawrenceville. But
Mhm.
when we talked before this, you also said your interest goes way back, and it actually has an international component.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about what you do and?
Sure. So years ago, I worked for many companies and dealt with a lot of different cultures internationally. And through that and charitable work, especially with Haiti, I've learned to really be able to understand compassion, empathy, giving back, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a lot in your life. Whatever you have, you give. And my parents actually taught me that growing up. And I'm an elder now at the Presbyterian Church of Lawrenceville, which is where I actually grew up. It's the church I grew up in. And the folks there have embraced me. It's like a family. I've dealt with a lot of tragedy in my life over the last few years. I've lost a stepson. My husband almost died. It goes on and on. But in any case, my faith with my church and becoming an elder and now being part of session has helped me deal with a lot of different components in my life. And through the church, I am now actually heading up the mission committee. And basically, we are raising money, or we raise money through the church for mission, which is basically Mercer County, a lot in Trenton in the soup kitchen, and also Haiti. So we have a sister church in Haiti, which unfortunately, when they had the earthquake, they lost the entire church, besides people. And it's helped rebuild their church, and they have a lovely community down there. And so with both of those things, I'm very involved, and it helps me with everything in my life. Yes.
So basically, the way I understood our conversation, your job is to raise funds
Yes.
so that they can be given to people so they can use them to meet their needs.
Correct.
As opposed to you telling them what they need.
No,
or
correct.
sending them a lot of stuff that they don't need.
No, exactly. It's
And-
coordinating the fundraising with our church, and it's been a tough year. It's been challenging. I mean, with COVID and everything going on, the normal things that we do, we can't do anymore.
Right.
So we have to be kind of creative, which has been tough. But the church that I'm in, they're lovely, they're very giving. They understand that they need a certain amount of money for the local mission and for Haiti. And so that's what we're working toward right now.
And you actually have someone who, from your church, who has gone to Haiti.
Yes.
And can report back to you.
Correct. It's something I'd like to eventually do, but right now they do have a group that goes there. Well, right now they can't because of COVID,
Yeah.
but when they can, they go down and spend time, sometimes up to a month or more, and spend time at the church down there and with the children and the folks that live down there. And then they come back and they report to our church. And the minister from down there, Jean-Luc, he comes up here and he also preaches.
The Haitian.
Yeah, exactly. He comes up here. He's inspirational and just a lovely human being. Yeah.
And so it goes on.
And so it goes on. Yes.
And I hope after this is all over, when we can get out, that
Yes.
that you can see what you actually have helped build
Absolutely.
in Haiti.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with
Oh,
us
thank you,
today
I'm
and
honored.
telling us about what you do for work and what you do because you believe in it. So,
Yes, absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you.
thank you. Okay. So now you've heard of 3 different examples, basically built on people's belief and their faith. And so we'd like to have some other examples of how people give. But one thing I'd like to remind you of, this is the time to give at Stonebridge. Our Employee Appreciation Fund will have to conclude right before Thanksgiving, and we still have a way to go so that we can really show the people here who we have seen all year long be so faithful and so giving in making sure that we're safe, our employees. So if you haven't written your check or gotten in touch with someone to make the money available, maybe you can do that the next day or 2 so we can make sure that before Thanksgiving we're all ready to go for the holiday season to show our appreciation and to give thanks and focus on the give part. Thank you very much for listening to Getting to Know You and meeting 2 residents and a staff person about giving. Thank you.